Now the forum will hear the voluntary national review by the Philippines. And I invite Her Excellency Rosemary Edillo, Undersecretary for National Development Policy and Planning at the National Economic Development Authority in the Philippines, to make a presentation.
Thank you, Mr. President. Excellencies, esteemed delegates, ladies and gentlemen, the Philippines is honored to present our fourth voluntary national review. Our delegation consists of officials from the Departments of Economy, Planning and Development, Labor and Employment, Foreign Affairs. We also have representatives from local government, civil society, and the youth, reflecting our whole-of-nation plus approach to the SDGs. Our key messages. Between 2022 and 2024, the Philippines made significant progress in implementing the 2030 Agenda. The VNR is a key strategy whose formulation process helped cultivate champions for the goals, and reporting to the HLPF has offered valuable opportunities for learning and education. Our whole-of-nation plus approach, which is our innovative means of implementation, proved to be very effective given the importance and urgency of Agenda 2030. And this year, we reaffirm our strong commitment to sustainable and inclusive development, a future where no one is left behind. This graph shows our composite progress for each goal, blue for 2022 and red for 2024. We made remarkable progress in SDGs 1, 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 12, 14, and 15. And more importantly, previously regressing goals, SDGs 2, 5, 7, 8, and 9, have since advanced. In the next slides, we discuss our sectoral accomplishments and what we have done to achieve this. In the social sector, we made significant progress in SDG 1, where lower income groups saw their faster real income growth. SDG 2 saw a significant turnaround. We reduced stunting among children up to 5 years of age through convergent nutrition programs. Since last year, the coverage and duration of supplementary feeding in daycare centers and elementary schools have increased. SDG 5 saw stronger enforcement mechanisms and information campaigns pursuant to the Anti-Violence Against Women and Children Act. For SDG 3, we have yet to see the results of our paradigm shift in healthcare, from curative to preventive, and from a focus on health workers for service delivery to a collective responsibility for health. In the environment sector, we saw moderate progress in SDGs 6, 7, and 5, while SDG 14 is on track. For SDG 12, we developed the Philippine Action Plan for Sustainable Consumption and Production, which outlines key policies and strategies, including the Extended Producer Responsibility Act and the Philippine Ecosystem and Natural Capital Accounting System Act. The economic sector largely recovered from the COVID-19-induced economic contraction. Employment rebounded swiftly, though concerns remain over job quality and sustainability. In response, we developed the Trabajo para sa Bayan Plan, which is a comprehensive labor market development strategy to future-proof the labor market and strengthen labor market governance. Progress in Goal 16 stems from new justice zones and improved threat detection. We continue to broaden national ID registration, civil documentation, and inclusive service delivery, especially for indigenous peoples and the underserved communities. Goal 17 saw a dip, but remains on track. So where are we now? The 2024 SDG pace of progress shows that we are doing very well on Goals 12 and 14. Goals 3 and 11 regressed, while the rest are progressing but need accelerated action. Now, after almost a decade of implementation, we report that our strategies actually align with the action plan that we have set in motion during our first VNR back in 2016. We mainstreamed SDGs in the Philippine Development Plan and sectoral plans. We enhanced data and monitoring systems with innovations like SDG Watch, Pace of Progress, SDG Platform, SpaceWeb, and then the community-based monitoring system. We institutionalized the subcommittee on the SDGs under the powerful Budget Committee of the Cabinet. We conducted planning workshops to formulate the subnational SDG catch-up plans and a stakeholders chamber roadmap, and develop a program convergence budgeting to boost SDG financing. For this 2025 VNR, we highlight our whole of nation plus approach, which promotes meaningful collaboration and partnerships among national and local governments, civil society, business, academe, and development partners, and utilizes innovative tools, foresight, and futures thinking. The video that follows elaborates further on these aspects. Play video, please.
To build a sustainable future, we began with a blueprint, mobilized our team, and developed innovative implementation and monitoring mechanisms. Our design principle, a whole-of-nation plus approach, a unified, inclusive, and future-focused pathway to achieving the Sustainable Development Goals by 2030. Our blueprint, the Philippine Development Plan 2023 to 2028, places the SDGs front and center, aligning national priorities with global targets. This ensures that every policy and project is a step toward a resilient, inclusive, and sustainable nation. We mobilize the team empowered by strong institutional mechanisms. The Philippines Subcommittee on the SDGs, chaired by the Department of Economy, Planning, and Development, ensures interagency coordination, policy coherence, and sustained momentum. Our subnational counterparts are critical members of this team. Technical assistance was provided to the subnational committees on the SDGs, helping them to align their own programs and projects with the SDGs that are lagging behind, creating tailored solutions that address local needs. Our team is made complete by our stakeholders. By establishing the Stakeholders Chamber at the national and subnational levels, the Philippines brings everyone to the table: private sector, CSOs, NGOs, and vulnerable groups, ensuring that voices are heard, contributions are valued, and partnerships are forged to drive real impact.
The establishment of the Stakeholders Chamber with CSOs, the private sector, is a very good sign that the government is actually opening up for civil society and private sector to participate in the push for the SDGs and Agenda 2030. This is a good time for us to really look at how we can participate, how we can engage.
Providing equitable access to primary health care has been central to CFF's mission since 2008.
So we have created Karagatan Patrol, for instance, so that we can put together information and create this database to check whether or not there are illegal commercial fishing encroachment inside municipal waters, to check also the status of our coastal habitats and other important information for policy and decision-making processes.
To stay on track, the Philippines implemented innovative solutions. We strengthened monitoring and evaluation with data-driven tools and inclusive reporting systems that enable decision-makers and citizens alike to measure progress and hold systems accountable.
The Philippines is a strong advocate of the Voluntary National Review, or VNR, process. Following our third review in 2022, we produced the SDG Pace of Progress, a tool that measures our rate of progress toward achieving the SDGs by identifying which targets are on track for completion by 2030 and which require accelerated efforts.
Looking ahead, the Philippines embraced futures thinking, anticipating trends, exploring uncertainties, and preparing for multiple scenarios. The aim is to ensure resilience, establish a dynamic innovation ecosystem, and achieve long-term sustainability. And through international cooperation, the Philippines shares best practices, taps into global expertise, and strengthens ties with development partners because sustainable development knows no borders. Together, as one nation with all sectors across all regions, the Philippines is accelerating the 2030 agenda.
Matatag, maginhawa at panatag na buhay for all Filipinos.
I thank the Undersecretary for National Development Policy and Planning at the National Economic and Development Authority of the Philippines for the presentation and the video. And now I give the floor to the Workers and Trade Unions Major Group, to be followed by the State of Palestine and Czechia.
The Philippine government's VNR frames progress around people, planet, prosperity, peace, and partnerships. However, the prevailing neoliberal agenda deepens the gap between government narratives and grassroots realities. On people, gender-based discrimination and systemic neglect of LGBTQI+ rights persist. When will the SOGI SC Equality Bill become law? What are the public investments towards recognizing unpaid care work and strengthening the care economy? On planet, unabated resource extraction, private sector-led energy transition, fossil fuel expansion, large-scale mining and reclamation prevail, displacing indigenous peoples, workers, and poor communities. How will you ensure that climate action addresses climate vulnerability, upholds justice, and leaves no one behind? On prosperity, the Trabajo para sa Bayan Act ignores core issues: lack of decent regular jobs, dependence on foreign investments, and weak local industries amid high cost of living. The $8 average daily minimum wage is far below the $21 national living wage. The wage boards fail to address the wage gap, and social protection is inadequate. When will the government legislate a living wage and restore subsidies to PhilHealth and SSS? How can peace be achieved amidst rampant militarization, red tagging, and the killings of journalists, activists, and rights defenders? Counterinsurgency programs like the NTF-ELCAC have institutionalized the criminalization of dissent. Will the NTF-ELCAC be abolished? Under partnership, profit-oriented public-private partnerships are prioritized over community-led solutions. Why are marginalized sectors underrepresented in the stakeholders' chamber? To conclude, progress must be rooted in rights-based governance and people-led development. Filipino people over profit.
I thank the representative of Workers and Trade Unions Major Group, and now I give the floor to respond to the questions and comments to the presentation of the Philippines. Her Excellency Rosemary Edilon, Undersecretary for National Development Policy and Planning at the National Economic and Development Authority of the Philippines. Madam.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I actually received quite a lot of questions, but let me divide it into 4 parts. So the first part has to do with the economic dimension, and the next, the climate action. The third one will be on the peace, security, and governance issues. And then lastly, to do with the implementation and the monitoring system. So first on the economic sector, it was already mentioned that we have a Trabajo para sa Bayan plan, which is actually our labor market development strategy. It encompasses 10 years, and it's actually a very comprehensive plan that includes strategies, policies, strategies that deal with the labor demand, the labor supply, and the labor market governance. So we also have 2 parts to that plan. The first part will be covering the current plan period, which is until 2028, and then the next part is really about future-proofing the labor market. So, this plan actually already has for its vision. We have said that all Filipinos of working age should be gainfully employed and have continuous opportunities to improve their employability, which we think is actually the robust way to be able to earn a living wage. So the Constitution actually permits government to set that minimum wage, and we do have a very good system for making sure that there's it's context specific, looking at the labor demand and also the labor supply side of it. And so and then apart from employability or lifelong learning opportunities, we also included there in the vision that we want we want it to be the case that the working conditions and the benefits of all those who are gainfully employed would be such that they can actually enjoy their aspirations or our long-term vision for strongly rooted family and community ties, a comfortable lifestyle, and a secure future. There was also a question about the youth NEET, how we managed to transition or actually make a major turnaround from previously it was regressing and now it was progressing. So I can actually say that we have implemented very large-scale programs for the youth to facilitate their transition to work, the school-to-work transition. Well, first of all, in terms of education, our basic education is free. And then if you are accepted or admitted to a state university or college, then again, that tuition fee is also free. And also technical vocational is also free. Lots of scholarships being provided. And in addition, we have a very large-scale government internship program where those who are new graduates, those who cannot find work elsewhere because they don't have any work experience yet, they can work for government offices and government actually pays them for 6 months. And then there's also a program for those wanting to work in the private sector, again as an intern, and again government pays for that. And I think this is also what facilitated that school to work transition. There was also actually that also takes care of industry and labor demand, because in that labor market development plan, what we had were also strategies to anticipate the skills need, beginning with the Philippine Development Plan. As of course, in the Philippine Development Plan, we already indicated the priority sectors, first of all, the priority programs of government, and then the priority sectors. And so we actually anticipate what would be the future needs in the immediate term, actually, for the term of that of the Philippine Development Plan. With respect to climate action, as mentioned by our colleague here, yes, the Philippines is not really a big emitter. Last time we measured, it was at 0.32%. Of GHG, but we do know that we still need to do our part. And so what we're doing is maximizing what we call the intersectionality between climate action and climate mitigation and then climate adaptation. So we have, early on, we have already put up what we call a People Survival Fund, and this is really for those areas that are very vulnerable to the effects of climate change. So there's technical assistance to be had so that they can actually come up with their longer term or robust plans in order to build their resilience. And there's already a fund that's allocated for that. And then we have earlier on determined that our major emitters of GHG, not really that major, but anyway, it will be the energy sector, it will be the transportation sector, agriculture, and then water. And so for the energy sector, one of the first things we did on the policy side is first to liberalize the investment regime for renewable energy. And so that has been done, and therefore we now have a lot of renewable energy sources. At this point in time, many of them are going online, and so the next step is actually to connect them to the grid. And then, most importantly, we have also formulated the Philippine Action Plan for Sustainable Consumption and Production. This is actually more longer term. It's up until 2040, and we have put in place several policies and strategies that need to be done, need to be legislated if needed. So there's also the question on covering peace, security, and governance, about participation in governance, especially for the marginalized sectors. Actually, we have our regional development councils, and in the regional development councils, there are civil society participants. In fact, they have to constitute 25% of the total representation of that regional development council. In our own Trabajo para sa Bayan Plan Interagency Council, we have a representative from the informal sector and one representative from the marginalized sector. And so there, and also us at the DepDev, our department, we continue to engage. We continue to engage with the civil society. Yes, they're not yet part of the stakeholders' chambers, but we are looking to increase actually the membership of that stakeholders' chamber. Then on the implementation and how do we make sure that our regional catch-up plans are getting implemented? Well, right now, I think I mentioned also that we have a program convergence budget on the SDGs. And by law, actually, 20% of the excise taxes coming from cigarettes, from sin taxes, from vapes, yeah, actually are allocated for SDG-related projects. And the priority list will have to come from us. So we are the ones that actually recommend which ones should be prioritized. And so what we do is we take off from the pace of progress report. And that pace of progress tells us which indicators, targets, and then indicators are lagging behind. And so we come up as well with a planning tool where we actually ask our sub-national offices to list down those programs that they think actually coincide or we would address these lagging indicators, and then have that brainstorming just to find out, what are those particular additional components that need to be there so that you reach those who are farthest behind. And so this is what we call the SDG planning tool. And then for the program convergence budget, we asked them to include a budget for the monitoring, for conducting that monitoring visit for these programs and projects. There was also action about a question on how do we ensure that we are able to collect data from those hard-to-reach areas. Now, very recently, we just completed the community-based monitoring system. Actually, it will cover 27 million households. Right now, we have 22 million already being processed. And this one, actually, the reason why we had that much of a data was that we conducted it alongside our census of population. And that means going into each and every household. So we have various statistical offices. We also already have, those statistical units that really go to this far-flung areas. Of course, reaching out to the local government units to facilitate their entry. And so that's actually how we are able to make sure that they are counted, that their data is actually considered in our planning. And this CBMS, or the community-based monitoring system, is actually legislated. And so its conduct will be done every 2 years. So we did it in 2024. Next time around, it will be in 2026, and so on. And we actually plan that this will also be the basis for identifying those target beneficiaries of social assistance programs, social protection programs, and so on. Thank you.
I thank the distinguished representatives of the Philippines for the very comprehensive answer. Madam Minister, thanks. Thank you very much.